Welcome back. Got another DSR Farms video. Picked up some eggs from him, and just take a look at these right here. Some really good looking eggs.
Yeah.
Careful, they're fragile. Hang on. So I got to thinking, like, I've done a lot of videos with breakfasty stuff, so I got to thinking, like, maybe I could do a top non-breakfast recipes with eggs. So I'm going to attempt to do that and just get into some really good recipes, hopefully, that aren't exactly breakfast, just to kind of expand your egg palette here. But yeah, we'll get into these. Okay, so what I got here is just a muffin pan. I'm going to do some deviled eggs, kind of a little hack on this.
Why is there one thing?
Because I'm fixing to show these people how I did that. But anyway, so when I do eggs in the muffin pan, I usually wind up having the bottom stick just a little bit. So what I've done is just taken a cup that's got the same size bottom as the muffin pan and just went around it with my knife that's pretty sharp. And then that just kind of tears out in a circle, hopefully. In a second. You want to hold that? Hang on. So these are just a little bit bigger than the bottom, so I just take it from the center and cut a line so it kind of overlaps. And I've went ahead and greased everything, and so that grease actually helps the paper stick to the bottom too. Anyway, we'll just stick that in there, and then I'm going to separate my egg whites and my egg yolks in these, and then we'll get them in the oven. I have to say, because I was a little bit distracted, but I do have this piece of cardboard down under the parchment paper that I was cutting, so I don't like to cut up my countertop and stuff. But anyway, got these things separated, got my oven preheated to 350, and going to pop these in for about 8 to 10 minutes until they get done. Okay, while those are finishing up in the oven, I've got a good heaping tablespoon of mayonnaise in this, and then I've got...
Mayonnaise are really good. I love mayonnaise.
Yeah, doesn't everybody? I've got some dill pickle cubed up and some pickled jalapeno cubed up. You can use sweet relish, most people do. I hate sweet relish, so I'm not putting it in my deviled eggs. If it's not dill, it's not real, you know what I'm saying?
Daddy,
anyway.
But you like this.
I do like mayonnaise.
So
And then I'm going to keep this pretty simple, just a little salt and pepper. Yep, you can.
Can I do the pepper?
That was the pepper. You cannot do the salt
Why?
because it's going to come out too fast. Alright. And you want this to be pretty seasoned because this is just for the...
mix and mix and mix.
Yep. This is just for the yolk part, and that whole white is not going to have any seasoning on it. So it's fine if this gets a little bit too salty, and, you know, because everything's going to balance out in the end. But those are going to be finished up in just a couple of minutes, and we'll get this plated. Okay, so those went about 11 minutes, and they are pretty set. And I just went around the edge of all this with a butter knife. And remember, I've got that parchment paper on the bottom, so they should slide out really good. But remember, you've got parchment paper on the bottom, so don't just get all haphazard and throw stuff in there without making sure that the paper isn't still on the egg. So we're gonna get, okay, so we're just gonna throw these yolks in here and mash them up, and then we'll get that on top of these whites and plate these up.
We are gonna pull this onto these and this onto the butter. I like it now.
You what?
I like it now.
Now you like?
So I've got these egg whites out and these egg yolks mixed in with this mayonnaise and stuff, and I'm gonna put these in this quart size bag, and then I'll cut the tip off and I'll use it like a piping bag to put those on top of the whites. Okay, so we got those piped onto here, and yeah, so I will say that over conventional boiled eggs, you only get half as many because you've got a whole egg worth of egg whites there instead of one split. But you can cook these in about the same amount of time that you can boil water. So, I mean, they're really easy, and they sit flat, so there's another good thing on that. But anyway, that's all there is to it. Just kind of got an appetizer out of the way with the eggs, and now we're going to move on to almost a main, I guess. It's a soup. We're going to do some egg drop soup. And I've just got 4 cups of chicken broth in this pot. I'm fixing to bring it up to the boil, and then we'll come back and do some stuff with the eggs. Okay, so while that's coming up to a boil, I've got 3 whole eggs and 1 egg yolk. 3 whole eggs and 1 egg yolk in there. And then I've got something planned for that other egg white later, so we'll get back to that. I'm just gonna whisk these up till they're all homogeneous. And then when that comes up to the boil, we'll just dump these in and make, egg drop stuff. I've got this up to a roaring boil, and I've got these eggs whisked up, all extra yolky and stuff. I'm gonna dump these in really slowly, back and forth, and then kind of break them up with the whisk as they hit the broth.
This is really good because it's not too hot. But if you make this, it's gonna be really good if it's too hot.
Oh, is it? Anyway, so I didn't put any seasoning or anything in that because chicken broth is typically, unless you buy low sodium chicken broth, is already salted. So just, use your judgment on that. But you could put soy sauce or whatever in there if you do low sodium.
If you do like chicken broth, then you can use it.
You should use it because this is good, isn't it?
Yeah, but if you make that and you don't like chicken broth, you can just make the same thing with something else.
You could. That's a good idea. Anyway, so we got this made, and we'll knock out a dessert here in just a second. Ask people around here how they like their eggs cooked, and they're honest with you. Most people are either going to say in a chocolate cake, or at Easter they may say in the Reese's peanut butter cup eggs. And so I'm going to try and replicate both of those at the same time. What I've got here is 4 ounces of semi-sweet chocolate chips and a good tablespoon of peanut butter. And I'm just going to put it in the microwave for 30 seconds at a time until it's all melty and stuff. Welcome back.
I wasn't in this video because I had to eat a donut.
A donut, yeah, of course. Anyway, so I've got 2 eggs that I separated the egg whites and the egg yolks, and the egg white that I saved from the egg drop soup I put in here with the egg whites. So I've got 3 egg whites and 2 yolks. I'm fixing to mix these until they form, egg whites and stuff. You'll see that in just a second. And then we'll get to the yolks here in just a second. We're going to start whipping these egg whites on low, and I've got 6 settings on. Okay, I've got 6 settings on this, and I'm going to start on 1, just work my way to 6, and probably go 30 seconds to a minute on each one until they get all whippy and stuff. Okay, so these whipped until they have stiff peaks, because stiff peaks and stuff. It's super important. The first thing you do is to melt your chocolate because you're fixing to put it in raw eggs. Melt your chocolate first and then let it cool down. If you put it hot in raw eggs, you're going to have like chocolate scrambled eggs and they're going to be disgusting. But anyway, I've got my oven preheated to 400. All I'm going to do is start stirring that egg. We're going to add this chocolate and peanut butter into this egg. Got this mixed up with the eggs and it's all smooth and stuff, and I'm going to take about 1/3 of these egg whites.
Can I help you?
In just a second, you'll help me pour it back in there. And we're just going to fold these. Into the chocolate and kind of get them incorporated, and then we'll fold all this back into all of the egg whites. Sure, at this stage to be really gentle with this and not pop any of these air bubbles that you've worked to get, and then just get till it's all one solid color. It's folded together, it's all pretty much the same color, and it's kind of like, I don't know, that consistency. I've got these ramekins greased in here, and I got 2 pretty much full at the top and then 1 about halfway full. Gonna pop these in the oven that's set to 400 for about 10 minutes or so. These should rise out of this ramekin like 1 inch or so, 1/2 inch to 1 inch, and then hopefully, since the oven's a little hotter than normal, they'll crust over on the top and the inside will still be like ooey and gooey. That's what I'm shooting for anyway. So we're gonna check on these in about 10 minutes and see what they look like.
Wow.
So those just came out of the oven. They went 12 minutes. I think I'm gonna get a pretty crunchy top on these. The bad thing about souffles is you have to eat them when they just come out of the oven because they're going to sink back down. They get smaller as they get closer to room temperature. Oh, no, this one's already kind of sinking. I don't know how well you can see that, but they do come up. Even the one that was only half full is nearly to the top of that. But I'm going to put a couple of scoops of ice cream on these things and go, but you can hit them with powdered sugar, whatever. What you got?
I wanted these.
Okay.
One.
Anyway, the texture of these to me is somewhere between like a sponge cake and a mousse, if that makes sense at all. But anyway, yeah, these are just 3 of, I guess, my favorite non-breakfast egg recipes. Thanks again to DSR Farms. If you've got any egg recipes, just shoot them my way. You know, if you've got something you'd like me to see or you'd like to see me do, yeah, either one. Just let me know down in the comments. If you like this video, give it a big thumbs up, and
let me know in the comments, did you like this video?
See ya.